Let me ask you something. Have you ever had that moment where you're lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering, how the hell did I end up here? Not because your life is a disaster. No, but because deep down, you know this isn't it. You know there's more inside you, more you're meant to do, to be, to feel. And yet here you are, stuck in the loop. Same day, same doubt, same story. What if I told you the thing you've been avoiding? The discomfort, the frustration, the pain, that's not the problem. That's the doorway. That's the signal. And if you've got the guts to walk through it, not around it, over it, but through it, on the other side is a version of you that will blow your mind. You know what's crazy? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Not a word, not a text, not a single glance, just silence. That's what Keynote No. 1 is all about. Ignoring him and watching what actually happens when you stop showing up for someone who thought you always would. Because here's the thing. When you constantly chase someone, when you always initiate, when you're always the one checking in, wondering, hoping, asking, why did he change? What happened? What did I do wrong? It gives your power away, slowly, quietly, subtly, until one day, you're sitting in your room staring at your phone, waiting for a message that isn't coming. Not because he doesn't have his phone in his hand. He does. But because he knows you'll always be there. But what happens when you stop being there? Let me tell you a quick story. A woman named Sierra, 29 marketing manager, lived in Chicago, messaged me once. She told me how she was in a 2-year relationship with a man who started pulling away after the first year. At first, he was sweet, attentive. The good morning texts, the weekend plans, the talks about the future. It all felt solid, real. You know that feeling when you finally think, okay, maybe this is it. But after a year, the energy shifted. The texts got shorter. Calls became rare. He started responding with, King, lol, where there used to be heart emojis and misuse, and thing the excuses. Busy at work, stressed, just need space. One day, she found out he had started talking to someone else, not officially, but emotionally. Chet Payne. Oh, it cuts deep. You question everything, yourself, your worth, your time. She did too. She asked me what to do. And I said one thing, stop chasing. Go quiet. Not to manipulate him, but to find yourself again. Because when you go quiet, you finally hear your own voice. So she did. She stopped texting, stopped checking his social media. No more watching his stories. She muted his posts. She didn't delete him. No drama. But she disappeared. And she focused all that energy on her. Signed up for a spin class. Went out with friends again. Started journaling, cooking, traveling. All the things she used to love before the relationship drained her. Slowly, her glow came back. And you know what happened. 3 weeks later, she got a hey at 1:42 p.m. Classic. Then a few days later, just thinking about you. Thing, I miss us. She didn't respond, not right away, because it wasn't about him anymore. And when she finally did, it wasn't to rekindle what they had. It was to thank him, because losing him helped her find herself. That's the power of ignoring him, when done from a place of self-worth, not ego. It shifts the entire dynamic. People often think ignoring means being cold or heartless, but it doesn't. It means you've chosen peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and silence over begging. Because here's the truth, attention is power. And when you keep giving someone your attention, someone who no longer values it, you're giving your power away for free. You're giving away your energy, your time, your emotions, all while he's out there living unbothered, unfazed, and possibly even entertained by how much you still care. Think of it like this, you're a fire. A warm, beautiful fire. But every time you chase him, you're handing him buckets of water. He doesn't have to earn your warmth. He just expects it. Why? Because you've been consistent, predictable, available. But the moment you stop, the moment you hold back that warmth, suddenly he's cold. And that cold, It gets to people. It makes them notice what they no longer have. That good morning text that used to pop up, gone. That supportive partner always checking in. Silent. And in the silence, they hear everything. They hear the echo of your absence. And sometimes that echo is louder than any words you could have spoken. But here's the most important part. You can't do this just to get him back. If that's your only goal, it won't work because your energy will still be needy, desperate, anxious. And energy, it doesn't lie. You have to do it because you finally realized your worth doesn't depend on someone else's recognition. You're not pausing your life to prove a point. You're pressing play on your own growth. Now, let's get real for a second. I know what you might be thinking, but what if he forgets about me? What if ignoring him just pushes him closer to her? What if I lose him for good? Listen, if silence makes him forget you, he was already forgetting you while you were talking. If ignoring him pushes him closer to someone else, then he was never committed to you to begin with. And if you lose him for good, then you didn't lose anything. You freed yourself. A man who truly values you won't need 100 reminders. He won't need chasing. He'll feel your absence. He'll recognize your value. And if he doesn't, then your silence just saved you from years of emotional starvation. It's not about games. It's about energy. You see, when you start ignoring a man who was once used to your attention, he begins to feel the shift. At first, he might feel confused. Is she okay? Then curious, hasn't she texted? Then concerned. Did she move on? And finally, regretful. I messed up. And here's something you might not expect. That regret hits harder after he gets what he thought he wanted. When he's with someone new. When the thrill dies down. When he compares the depth you brought to the surface level of someone else. That's when the silence rings loud. That's when your absence becomes presence. But while all that happens, you're not waiting. You're not checking the time. You're not refreshing his profile. You're healing, rebuild venting. You're realizing that ignoring him wasn't about punishing him. It was about protecting you. You ever notice how people respect boundaries they have to earn? You give your time too freely, people take it for granted. You give your heart too easily, people forget it's a privilege. But the moment you pull back, not to be petty, but to prioritize yourself, the right ones take notice. And the wrong ones, they fade, they show themselves. And that's the blessing. Because love that has to be chased, constantly justified, or fought for, that's not love. That's survival. That's fear. And you're not here to survive a relationship. You're here to thrive in one. Think back to a time when you begged for someone's attention, when you wrote long paragraphs that went unanswered, when you waited all night for a reply, when you saw he was active online, but ignored your message. Remember how small that made you feel. Now imagine being the version of you who doesn't do that anymore, who logs off before he posts, who doesn't need closure to close the chapter, who walks away without a dramatic exit because peace speaks louder than pain. That version of you, she's not cold, she's not bitter, she's wise. She knows that love isn't supposed to hurt. That chasing isn't loving. That sometimes the only way to be heard is to go quiet. And when you do, when you finally stop handing over your energy to someone who fumbled it, something magical happens. The world shifts. He feels it. But more importantly, you feel it. You remember what it feels like to belong to yourself. And that feeling, it changes everything. You know, there comes a moment, a precise, defining moment where your life splits in two directions, before and after. And the dividing line, it's not fate, it's not luck, and it sure as hell isn't somebody else giving you permission. It's a decision, one real, powerful, bone-deep decision. That's it, that's the line. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of decision where you say, yeah, I should probably start working out, or I think I'll try to save some money. That's not a decision. That's a wish. That's a whisper. That's a soft hope you toss out into the wind and pray it lands somewhere. But transformation, real, lasting transformation, that comes from a decision that shakes your nervous system. A decision that says, enough, I'm done living like this. I decide right now that everything changes. It's the kind of decision that doesn't leave room for excuses. It doesn't ask for validation. It doesn't wait for the stars to align or the calendar to flip to the first of the month. It happens right here, right now, in this breath, in this second. Because here's the truth, and it might sting a little. If your life hasn't changed, it's because you haven't truly decided. You might have flirted with change, entertained the idea, maybe even told some people, posted about it, got the dopamine rush of saying, this is my year. But deep down, you left the back door open. You gave yourself a way out. You padded the walls of your comfort zone and called it home. And let me be real with you. Comfort zones are seductive. They're warm, they're familiar, they make you feel safe. But they're a lie. They're a prison disguised as peace. And every time you hesitate, every time you say, maybe later, or once things settle down, or once I feel ready, you reinforce the chains that keep you stuck. A real decision, a true decision, shuts the door on your old life. It slams it, it bolts it, it throws away the key, and it doesn't whisper, it roars. It says, this is who I am now. I don't dabble, I don't try, I do. I become, I embody. You've seen it. Someone loses 100 pounds and never looks back. Someone walks away from a toxic relationship and rediscovers their soul. Someone starts a business from nothing and creates a legacy. You think they just got lucky. No. They decided, and that decision required everything. Their mindset, their habits, their identity. It wasn't magic. It was clarity and commitment. And let's talk about fear for a second. Because fear always shows up at the door when you're about to change. Of course it does. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not successful. So when you decide to step into the unknown, your nervous system fires off alarms. What if you fail? What if it's too hard? What if they laugh at you? But here's the catch. Fear is a liar. It's loud. Yes, but it's not accurate. And the only way to silence it is with action. With decision. You want to know the secret to confidence. It's not positive thinking. It's not chanting affirmations in the mirror until your voice cracks. It's deciding and then following through. That's where self-respect is born. That's where belief is built. When you say, this is what I'm doing, and then, day by day, you do it. You start to look at yourself differently. You carry yourself differently. People around you notice. Not because you're faking anything, but because your energy changes. Decision has weight. It anchors you. It clarifies the chaos. It eliminates the shoulds and replaces them with musts. Because here's another truth. The only difference between people who live extraordinary lives and those who don't is that the former make fewer decisions, but they make them with more intensity. More finality, more certainty. They don't hop from goal to goal, dream to dream. They decide once, and they burn the boats. There is no backup plan. It's done. It's happening. You want transformation. You want to wake up in a different reality. Then you've got to stop negotiating with your potential. You've got to stop letting your old identity vote on your future. You've got to make a decision, not with your mouth, but with your body, your breath, your eyes, your spine. And here's the beautiful, terrifying, incredible part. It only takes a moment. One single moment of absolute clarity. 1 second of, I'm done playing small. One breath where you stop waiting and start becoming. That's it. One real decision. And everything begins to shift. You ever catch yourself saying something like, well, I'm just not that kind of person. Or, it's always been this way for me. Or the classic. That's just who I am. Yeah. Let me tell you something. That right there, that's the story. The one you've been dragging around like an old suitcase. It's heavy, it's outdated, and honestly, It's probably not even yours. You didn't choose it. You inherited it. Picked up from a painful moment, a failure, a teacher who doubted you, a parent who didn't see you, a rejection that cut too deep. And somewhere along the way, you started repeating it over and over until it became your identity. But here's the raw truth. Your story is either your prison or your power. And for most people, it's a prison. It's this invisible script they're living out over and over again on autopilot. And they wonder why nothing changes. They try new jobs, new relationships, new diets, new locations, but they're dragging the same old story behind them, whispering in their ear, "You're not enough. You've never done enough. This is just who you are." And the worst part, that story, it feels real because you've lived it. You've got evidence. You can point to all the times you tried and fell short, all the moments you got overlooked, all the signs that seem to confirm your limitations. And so you cling to it, not because it's true, but because it's familiar, because it's safe, because if it's the story's fault, then it's not yours, right? But let me flip the switch on you. What if the story is the lie? What if the story is the only thing standing between you and the life you were built for? What if you've been hypnotized by repetition, not reality? Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I always mess things up," or "people like me don't succeed," or "I'm not meant for that kind of life"? Where did those words come from? Who told you that? Who gave you that script? And why the hell are you still reading from it? Because the truth is, you don't need a new life. You need a new lens, a new narrative, a new identity. And the moment you realize the story is optional, everything shifts. You want to transform your life. You've got to kill the story that's been killing you. You've got to rip it out by the roots. You've got to stand face to face with that internal dialogue and say, "I don't buy this anymore. Not for one more day. Not for one more breath." And I know it's not easy. That story has been with you for years. It knows your name. It knows how to make you doubt, how to make you flinch, how to pull you back into that small, suffocating box where it's safe but empty. But you're not here to live small. You're not here to blend in, to shrink to settle. You're here to rewrite the script. You're here to decide what comes next. And that starts with awareness. Because you can't kill what you won't confront. So ask yourself, what's the story I've been telling myself about my worth, about my potential, about what I deserve? And then, brutally honest, is it serving me? Is it lifting me? Or is it limiting me? If it's the latter, and for most people it is, then it's time to write a new one. A story where you're the hero. A story where the past doesn't dictate the future. A story where the setbacks weren't signs to stop. They were setups for strength. And listen, you don't need permission. You don't need someone to hand you a blank page. You are the author. You've always been. The problem is you've been living someone else's narrative. But now it's yours. So start writing the version where you rise. The version where the trauma became triumph. The failure became fuel. The doubt became drive. Start speaking the words that build you, not break you. Catch yourself when the old script shows up and shut it down, replace it. Over and over until the new story becomes the default, until your nervous system believes it, until it becomes who you are. Because here's the truth. Your story is not in stone. It's clay. It's flexible. It bends, it breaks, it reshapes, depending on who's holding the pen. And right now, that pen is in your hand. You know what most people get wrong about happiness? They think it's some final destination, some golden place in the distance where everything's perfect, nothing hurts, and the sun always shines, like happiness is waiting at the end of some checklist. After the job, after the relationship, after the money, after the six-pack, after everything finally falls into place. But let me tell you something. That's a trap, a dangerous one, because that mindset keeps happiness out there Always just beyond reach, always one more milestone away. The truth, it's not perfection that creates happiness. It's progress, movement, momentum. That sense deep inside you that says, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm becoming more. That's where the fire lies. That's where fulfillment starts to take root. You ever have one of those days where everything is still kind of messy? The bills are still there. The body isn't quite where you want it. Maybe things are still uncertain. But you feel good, like actually good, because you did something. You pushed yourself. You made a call you were avoiding. You showed up to the gym when you didn't feel like it. You followed through. That feeling, that quiet, earned satisfaction, that's what progress feels like. And that, my friend, is happiness. See, we live in a world addicted to outcomes. What did you achieve? What do you have to show for it? Where's the result? But outcomes are fleeting. You reach a goal. And then what? You celebrate for a minute, maybe a day, and then the hunger comes back. That's because the real fulfillment isn't in the trophy, it's in the climb. It's in the becoming. You want to feel alive? Start making progress in anything. It doesn't have to be huge. Don't wait for the grand plan or the perfect strategy. Just take a step, a small one, and then another. Stack those wins. Let them build. Let them remind you that you're not stuck. You're not done. You're not powerless, because that's what progress gives you. Power. It shifts your energy. You go from victim to creator, from stagnant to in motion, from I can't to I'm doing it. And once that shift happens, everything else begins to move with it. And look, it's not always going to feel sexy. Progress is messy. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes you feel like you're crawling. Sometimes it looks like failure on the outside. But if you're honest, if you know you're pushing yourself, if you know you're stretching, if you know you're not sitting on your potential, that's progress. That counts. Too many people sit on the sidelines of their life waiting to feel ready, waiting for motivation for some perfect time to begin. But motivation is a byproduct of progress, not the other way around. You earn momentum by moving. You build belief by the damn thing before you feel like it. And once you do, once you start stacking those little victories, you create a snowball that's hard to stop. And here's something else. Progress doesn't just create happiness. It creates identity. When you start doing things differently, when you start pushing, growing, reaching, your brain begins to say, this is who I am now. Not the quitter, not the talker, not the dreamer who never does, but the one who follows through, the one who moves forward, the one who becomes. That shift in identity, that's everything. Because once you believe you're the kind of person who grows, who evolves, then even the tough days can't stop you. Because now the pain has a purpose. The struggle has meaning. It's part of the climb. And let me just say this. If you feel stuck, lost, frustrated, don't chase happiness. Don't chase perfection. Chase progress. Ask yourself one question. What's one thing I can do today to move forward, even just a little? And then do that. It could be sending the email, making the apology, writing the first paragraph, saying no to the thing that drains you, saying yes to the thing that scares you. Doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you move, because progress, even in its tiniest form, reminds you of your power. And when you tap back into that, you don't need to chase happiness. You create it. One choice, one step, one moment at a time. You ever stop to wonder why some people seem to live life on a whole other level? Like they move through the world with a quiet certainty, a magnetic pull, an energy that says, I don't accept less than what I deserve. It's not luck. It's a choice. A set of standards so high, so non-negotiable, that their identity shifts to match. Because here's the secreting. You can't outperform your standards. You can't live above the level of what you demand from yourself. And most of us, we settle for good enough. We accept half measures, mediocre relationships, jobs that drain us, bodies that we tolerate instead of honor. But what if? Good enough. Never cut it. What if it never led to greatness, to passion, to real impact? Standards are like invisible contracts. With yourself, with your world. They say, this is how I show up. This is what I'll accept. This is who I am. And when you honor that contract, when you refuse to budge, to compromise, to rationalize away the gap between your potential and your reality, your identity changes. You stop thinking, maybe one day, you start believing, this is who I am. And suddenly, the actions follow. You find yourself speaking up, stepping up, leveling up, because your standards won't allow anything less. Think about it. When you demand punctuality, integrity, excellence from yourself, you end up showing up early, keeping your word, delivering beyond expectations. And what happens then? People trust you. Doors open. Opportunities land on your doorstep. Why? Because you send a signal. I'm serious. I value myself. I value the outcome. And the world responds in kind. But if your standards are low, if you say, I'll do it when I feel like it, or I can cheat here, fudge it there, it's no big deal. Guess what comes back? Mediocrity, chaos, regret. Here's a story. A friend of mine used to tolerate toxic relationships, late nights, unhealthy meals, missed workouts, underpaying clients. Everything she tolerated became her norm. Until one day, she decided, enough. She made a list of non-negotiables: respect, energy, health, abundance. And she didn't just write them down, she lived them. She broke off the relationships that drained her, set a daily ritual for her body, restructured her business model to honor her worth. Within months, her world transformed. Her identity had shifted from people pleaser to leader, from survivor to creator, bored to alive. Standards are not punishments. They're proclamations. They're declarations. This is what I deserve. This is what I demand. And when you raise them, you raise the bar for your life. You recalibrate what's possible. You refuse to let fear, laziness, or doubt dictate your destiny. Because here's the kicker. Your mind, your habits, even your emotions will chase the standard you set. Leave the front door open for negativity and it will flood in. Seal that door with a standard of positivity, growth, love, and excellence, and your environment aligns. But beware, raising standards isn't a one and done event. It's a continuous process. You set them, then you test them, then you adjust. You catch yourself compromising, and you course correct. You feel discomfort, and you remind yourself why you started. You face pushback from doubts, from critics, even from loved ones who liked you the way you were. But that's a sign you're onto something big, because anytime you break old patterns, you threaten the status quo, and people around you may resist. Yet, if you stand firm, if you hold the line, if you refuse to negotiate your worth, you'll watch as your identity reconstructs itself around those higher standards. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating right now? What have you been whispering? It's okay, I'll live with this, when really you deserve more. What small compromises today are chaining you to a life half-lived? And then decide, what standards will I raise? Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier. Maybe it's saying no to toxic talk. Maybe it's investing in your growth. Maybe it's demanding more money for your service. Whatever it is, declare it, commit to it, and then watch your identity catch up, because your life will never outgrow your standards, and your standards will always shape your destiny. You ever notice how we all want change, but we resist the one thing that actually creates it? Pain, discomfort, that ache in your chest when something's not right, that fire in your gut when you know you're meant for more but you're stuck, that frustration, that anger, that heartbreak, the stuff nobody likes to talk about, but it's there brewing just beneath the surface. Most people try to numb it, escape it, run from it. But what if, just what if, that pain was actually your greatest gift? See, pain is not the enemy. It's the messenger. It's the alarm bell going off saying, wake up. This version of you, this pattern, this situation, it's not it. Pain doesn't show up to ruin you. It shows up to reveal you. It cracks the shell. It burns the comfort. It exposes the lie you've been living under. And if you listen, really listen, it'll lead you straight to the doorway of your next level. But here's the problem. We've been conditioned to avoid like the plague. Don't feel that. Don't talk about that. Push it down. So what happens? We carry it quietly. We bury it beneath work, beneath scrolling, beneath alcohol, food noise, anything to keep us distracted, and yet it never goes away. It lingers. It leaks out in how we speak to ourselves, in how we show up in relationships, in the way we stop trusting ourselves, stop betting on ourselves. But if you're brave enough, if you're willing to lean in, you'll find something powerful hidden inside that pain. It's trying to teach you something. Something no book, no podcast, no girl could ever teach you. Your pain is custom made for your growth. It's not random. It's not punishment. It's the sculptor chiseling away the excess, the false identity, the limits you've been clinging to. And yet it hurts. Growth always does. Think about it. How do muscles grow? Resistance. How do you build resilience? Through setbacks. How do you unlock courage? By facing fear. Pain is the process. It's what tempers the steel. It's what shapes the hero. Without it, you don't rise, you don't evolve, you don't transform. Every breakthrough I've ever seen, every real transformation I've ever witnessed, it all started with pain. A divorce, a breakdown, a failure, a rock bottom moment that shattered the illusion and forced the truth to the surface. That moment of, I can't live like this anymore. That's the spark. That's when something shifts inside and you decide, no more. And when that decision comes from a place of pain, it sticks. It has weight. It's not a maybe. It's a must. You've got to stop seeing pain as something to avoid and start seeing it as something to use. Don't waste it. Don't numb it. Don't deny it. Harness it. Let it feel the action you've been putting off. Let it push you to have the hard conversation, make the bold move, cut the dead weight, claim your damn life. Because sometimes the thing that breaks you is also the thing that builds you. You are not weak because you feel pain. You are not broken because you're hurting. You're human. You're alive. And your pain. It's proof. Proof that you still care. That something inside you knows you were built for more. So honor that. Don't silence it. Don't ignore it. Listen to it. Thank it. And then act on it. Because the pain you're running from today might be the purpose you step into tomorrow. Let it shape you, carve you. Let it purify you. You want a new life. You want to become something greater. Then walk through the fire. Don't tiptoe around it. Don't ask for it to be easy. Just ask for it to be worth it. And it will be. Remember, diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles under strain. Legends through adversity. You've got what it takes, not despite the pain, because of it. Let that pain be your power. And when you come out the other side, and you will, you won't just be stronger. You'll be unshakable, unstoppable, unrecognizable.